Isn't this a beautiful sight here to my right? Beautiful blue skies, not a cloud in the sky at the NovaCare Complex in South Philadelphia, and the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles on the practice field. You're watching Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and coming up, a lot of news coming out of Eagles OTAs in South Philly. But let's begin here. I'm feeling a little bit feisty. I want to get in the ring, and I want to start fighting all these teams inside the NFC East. If you hate all these squads here to my right, outside of the Philadelphia Eagles, I want you to type "Go Birds" down in the comment section. Yeah, Cowboys, Commies, Giants, I'm talking to you. It's Go Birds all day, every day. No one likes us. We don't care. All right, to some news and notes from Eagles OTAs. Had to get that off my chest. No biggie here. It's a beautiful Tuesday, June 3rd. Vic Fangio had a press conference today and had a couple of notable takeaways from what he had to say. He said rookie first-round pick Jihaad Campbell, who the Eagles took with the 31st overall pick, won't hit the practice field until August. He's coming off that labrum injury in his shoulder. Fangio also said this, which I thought was interesting, that Campbell, who the Eagles also like as having upside at edge rusher, will start off at inside linebacker because there's more to learn there. And Fangio said, yeah, he has some pass rush potential, but with what he said and how he said it, it seems like he envisions that Campbell is going to be an inside off-ball linebacker. I think that's what he's best suited to do. At Alabama last year, he played very well in that role, but the Eagles do like his pass rushing ability because coming out of high school, he was one of the top edge rusher recruits in the country. Campbell was on the field today, but he wasn't doing any drills. So when Fangio says he's not going to be on the practice field until August, what he means there, he's not going to be partaking in any drills. A good sign as compared to rookie minicamp and OTAs is that Campbell was actually wearing a helmet alongside his teammates. This is one shot from Eagles practice today, and then another one you see all the way toward the bushes. Vic Fangio working solely and specifically with Jihaad Campbell, just trying to help him out with that learning curve and trying to help him understand and master that position, working on what he can work on as a rookie while he can't practice because of that shoulder injury. Fangio also said that he'd like to keep Cooper DeJean at nickel, at that slot corner spot. And in base, he can then play outside cornerback, and he really talked him up at safety. And he thinks that he can be a really good safety. At Iowa, Cooper DeJean mostly played on the outside, but he played a little bit in the slot, a little bit around the defensive line. Last year at Iowa, the Hawkeyes, he only played one snap at safety. But Fangio said that at that safety position specifically, it really just maximizes and takes advantage of what DeJean does well. And I've said this here on the show, I like DeJean at nickel because it plays to his unique and special versatility. He runs a 4.4 40-yard dash. He's extremely athletic and explosive, a twitchy athlete, right? But he struggles a little bit on the outside. On the inside, he can cover wide receivers. He can cover tight ends like he did against Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl on that two-point attempt. He can cover running backs. You can use him as a blitzer. You can use him as a hybrid linebacker. He's also excellent against the run. And I just think him there makes this defense better. Other players getting outside corner reps during Eagles OTAs. Keely Ringo was there running with the ones. So too was Adoree Jackson. That continues to be a theme. And then Eli Ricks, the former UDFA, who's very long and lanky, getting some first-team looks there over the last couple of weeks as well. And DeJean in 2024, what a draft pick this was, made sweeter by the fact that the Eagles moved up in a trade with the Washington Commanders, and they got Quinyon Mitchell and DeJean in round 1 and round 2. He was one of the highest-graded corners in the National Football League in 2024. Eagles are looking for him to take a leap with his play, and he's going to be asked to be even more of a leader as well going into his sophomore campaign. As for the nickel cornerback spot behind Cooper DeJean, Avonte Maddox is no longer on the team. He's with the Detroit Lions, and I think over time, he became a little bit underrated for what he did for this Eagles defense over the course of a few years. Perry Nickerson was getting some snaps there. So too was Mac McWilliams, who the Eagles took in the NFL draft out of UCF back in April. 4.3, 4.4 speed. Played primarily on the outside at UAB and Central Florida. I think he's better on the inside at the NFL level. The Eagles safety competition, opposite of Reed Blankenship. Fangio saying that it'll take training camp and some preseason games to figure out who starts alongside Sidney Brown and Andrew Mukuba. He also mentioned Tristan McCullum as being a part of that competition as well. The Eagles' first-team defense, 7-on-7 without any defensive linemen. At off-ball linebacker, inside linebacker, it was Zach Bond and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. That makes sense because Jihaad Campbell is not practicing and Nakobe Dean is going to be out for a while. At left corner, Quinyon Mitchell. At right corner, Cooper DeJean. So this is that base look. And then at safety, mostly, it was Sidney Brown and Reed Blankenship. Second-round pick Andrew Mukuba, who the Eagles took with the 64th overall pick out of Texas, was also getting some first-team reps. I know that some people have said he's a little small. That is one of my concerns. He doesn't play small, plays a lot bigger, plays physically, has really good ball skills, good versatility, good against the run. I really like his instincts, especially last year at Texas when he displayed them, when he made the transition to playing deep safety for the first time in his college career. And so far during OTAs, he's looked a little bit bigger than what people were anticipating. And then another player getting some safety snaps there with Blankenship, Brown, Mukuba, and McCullum, Andre Sam, who the Eagles are kind of high on, a former UDFA out of LSU from a couple of years ago. He's been with this team over the last couple of years, and the coaching staff has taken a liking to him. Blankenship had a classic quote on Sidney Brown, and I call Sidney Brown a thumper because he plays downhill, and he will run through your face. Blankenship said he plays like Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, pretty much plays like Crash Bandicoot. He has that type of style to his game. And so the Eagles safety competition, again, opposite and alongside Blankenship, going to be one of the biggest Eagles position battles of training camp and in the preseason. Blankenship's one of the more underrated players on this Eagles roster, one of the more underrated players in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball. But it's unproven who will start next to him. Sidney Brown, Andrew Mukuba, Andre Sam, Tristan McCullum. Lewis Cine was getting some first-team reps last week as well, but Vic Fangio did not mention him. Fangio did say that Nakobe Dean is not going to be back for a while. Obviously, we're not sure what a while means, but sometimes those patellar tendon injuries take a really long time to come back off of because they're such complex injuries, because it has to do with the quad and the knee. Nakobe Dean has said over the last few days that his recovery process is ahead of schedule, but that's an injury you have to be very, very careful about, because if you re-aggravate that, it could spell disaster. And so we talk about safety being a good competition, outside corner opposite of Quinyon Mitchell being a good competition. Inside linebacker next to Zach Bond for week one is a really good battle. No way Nakobe Dean's going to be ready for week one, I don't think. And Jihaad Campbell, he has an uphill battle just because he's not going to be on the practice field until August. Remember, Cooper DeJean didn't start until week 6 last year because he was injured during training camp and in the preseason. And so my best guess is that it'll be Bond and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday, September 4th. It also looks like it is Tyler Steen's job to lose at right guard. Mekhi Becton, mauler. Just a ground and pounder last year with the Eagles, making that switch to right guard. He's with the Chargers, playing under Jim Harbaugh. 2-year, $20 million deal for him. Good on him for getting the bag. I probably would have brought him back at that number if I was calling the shots, but Eagles used a third-round pick on Tyler Steen a couple of drafts ago, and he has been getting the first-team reps at that right guard spot. With Jordan Davis, we've talked about him looking to be in much better shape as compared to his first couple of years in the NFL. Vic Fangio said he's in the best shape of his NFL career. And Davis said last year he became obsessed with Peloton. And Fangio said toward the midway point to the end of last year, that's when Davis really kicked it into gear with his conditioning. And that lines up with what Davis said about him taking a love to riding the Peloton. And this tweet from Zach Berman is a good one. Jordan Davis said, more went into this than anybody realizes. He got into the Peloton toward the end of last year, has stuck with it. He wants to stay consistent and disciplined. He joked that he was always motivated by vanity. He thought his face was looking fuller. Look, anytime I gain weight, it always starts in the face. So I can hear where Jordan Davis is coming from with that. But coming out of Georgia, 6'6", 340, he looked too big. And my biggest concern for him coming out of the draft, is he a 2-down player or a 3-down player? Mostly so far, he's been a 2-down player. But again, I've said this on the show, something clicked late last year where he started to play very well, and then in the playoffs, he graded out exceptionally well. Overall PFF grade of 86.8, second among 69 defensive tackles in the postseason. His pass rush grade of 90, ranked third. He should be better against the run with how big he is, but I thought he made better plays against the run than maybe the analytics show. Nolan Smith, he has been practicing after tearing that triceps in the Super Bowl. He said, yeah, I would take a torn triceps if that meant winning the Super Bowl. And he has this big, bulky brace on that bad arm. He did say he can start striking with that arm probably next week, and so a really impressive recovery period for him. He had a little bit of a press conference today, meeting with the media. He said he was close to getting emotional when discussing how Brandon Graham helped him navigate his rookie year. To this day, Smith has a message from BG on his mirror at home that reads, "Be you." When I was at the Super Bowl in New Orleans, I asked BG about his mentorship of Nolan Smith, and he said, that's a player I wanted to take under my wing. And when the Eagles drafted Nolan Smith, a lot of talk was that he has a similar personality to BG. We've certainly seen that. It's contagious, always has a smile, always upbeat with good energy. He plays like BG, a nonstop motor. And what did BG say the other day? That Nolan Smith has to take that next step as far as being a leader for this football team now that BG is retired. Elliott Shore-Parks with a good write-up on Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts has been surgical during OTAs coming off that Super Bowl championship, Super Bowl MVP honors. Hurts' stats on June 3rd, another solid day for Hurts, who took all of his team reps without A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, working basically with all backups the entire practice. His best throw of the day came to one of the only starters that did practice, hitting Dallas Scudder with a perfect pass down the left sideline for a 30-plus yard completion. The throw couldn't have been better as Goddard was covered well, but Hurts dropped it right in the bucket. Overall, Hurts took a few more chances with the ball than the last practice last week that we talked about here on the show. But for the most part, was smart with his decisions, didn't put the ball in harm's way. An A grade, he was 15 of 17. His 2025 OTA stats, 35 of 38. No touchdowns, no picks. ESP adding this, you can really see at practice how much Hurts has improved over the years in playing the quarterback position. First few years, 2020 to 22-ish, he was not a great practice player. Now he's pretty surgical. Very, very rarely has a bad throw. Holds on to it way, way less than he used to. And he also noted how the ball rarely hits the ground. As for Saquon Barkley, going to be on the cover of Madden 26, dub cover. Features the hurdle of that Jacksonville Jaguars defender. He was, of course, asked about the Madden curse. Saquon said, I don't get into curses. I've had enough curses. I've had all these injuries, and I don't believe in curses. I believe in God. Vic Fangio also was asked about Jeremiah Trotter Sr.'s comments. And if you're not familiar with what Axeman Sr. said, he said yesterday, Monday on WIP, that he's hearing from people inside the building that Jaylen Carter, a dominant player, but he doesn't know how to play the position yet. He's solely been relying on how gifted he is. And Vic Fangio said there's some truth to it. As good as he was last year, he can still get better. Jaylen Carter also said today he's looking forward to taking that next step as a leader, and the sky's the limit for him. He's already one of the most dominant players in the National Football League. What a fantastic deal we want to tell you about, thanks to our friends at Fanatics. These Super Bowl shirts, 50% off. I couldn't believe it when I saw it this morning. All you have to do, plug in that link down below, chatsports.com/SB shirt. That'll take you to Fanatics. Fanatics knows that Chase Senior, Eagles Now, and Chat Sports sent you. These shirts were going for $40, $50 after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Now they're extremely affordable. If you're still watching right now, give me a real one. Thank you so much for tuning in, supporting the content. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you soon.